Hello, this is Marc McElroy. I'm here at the Electric Cave Recording Studio, and I'm here to talk about these speakers in particular. They're the Reflector, they call them the Square Two speakers. The model on these, I think, is the Square Two. And I've been using them a lot lately, and I'm really happy with them, so I decided to make a little video talking about them and what is it that I like about them. So, they're a great full range, realistic sounding speaker that you can do mixes on, which these days, it happens more often than not. As a matter of fact, there's some really good budget speakers out there that you can work on that will be fine. So, why do you need a special speaker? Is I guess the question. But these really have some attributes that can't be found anywhere else. And so I say this because I obviously own a bunch of speakers, and I have about 3 or 4 other sets I'll rotate in from time to time. I'm always looking for that, that solution, and the solution is usually cross-checking between speakers. Um, but how do you get that NS10, or these are NS1s, but I swap NS10s in here too. And NS1s are really similar, they're just a nicer cabinetry there. How do you get that definition, but still be able to hear your low end or work with your low end accurately? Or how can you mix on them and then have a client in the room, enjoy the low end as you're mixing it? So that's where these speakers come in. They have this really unique, they have 4 woofers that all kind of face in a certain way, and they project out in that enclosure there. And then the tweeter is the entire middle section is the tweeter. And they're powered. They have their own little power amp that obviously is part of the design. So, which these days everyone expects your speakers to be powered, although I have a lot that aren't as well. The most amazing thing about these speakers, and the reason that well, 2 reasons I'll say that I've gone to using them a lot. One is they sound really good from anywhere in the room, and that is the big difference. Some speakers, if you're not really in phase exactly, if you're not sitting perfectly in the middle, if the tweeters aren't coming at you just right, if just you really have to be in that super proper mixing environment. This studio is I've worked in a lot of studios all over the world actually, but this studio is my own studio, and it started as like a project studio where I now do most of my work, which often is the big case for a lot of recording engineers these days, is the downscaling of the studio world. And so this is an old factory building that we put a studio in, and so it's bound to be less than ideal compared to like a place that was designed to be a studio. And we've done treatments over the years and kind of figured out, but it's also very practical. As you can kind of see, like the way this monitor sits here is just a little on the, for where I'm seated, when I'm in my mix position, it can meet with my ears, but other people in the room, that monitor might, just kind of block them out a little bit on one side. But the amazing thing is, having said that, these speakers sound great from anywhere in the room. That's the most important thing, I think. And when I have a client here, for example, I like mixing when the client's in the room. I actually prefer, I can get them to sign off on mix ideas right away, and get their feedback right away, and I kind of like that. But if there's a drummer in the back of the room, on the back row of seats in the back of the control room, they might be like, oh, hey, the kick isn't really sounding right. Oh, yeah, that's because you got to move your seat forward 2 feet. Then you'll hear the kick the way it really is, just on the back wall, just because of the nature of the treatments in the room, or whatever the positioning of things. It just doesn't quite translate to that spot in the room. But with these speakers, I can have a room full of musicians all milling around, and it just sounds good from anywhere in the room. For, I wouldn't say no good reason, but like, it's incredible. Or the left-right phasing, like someone's off to the side a little bit. I mean, you hear a stereo field for sure, but you don't, get that every once in a while. If you're out of phase enough with those horn tweeters, it just doesn't kind of things sound dull, or it just doesn't translate as like, oh, what an exciting mix. I've actually gotten to use these more even while we're tracking in the control room. Someone's overdubbing. I'll put them on because they generate a really exciting sound, even though they're very compact too. You might think so. Right next to them is some Mackie A24s. They're pretty compact for a studio speaker, and they just make a pleasing sound as well as an accurate sound. So number one, you can hear from anywhere in the control room, and it's a little less. And you can just trust in that a little better, and other people listening can trust in that. And number two is I find myself using them. I recently have been, just having a good run of mixing on them. I recently just sent out a remote mix to a client, and there, you do it and you just expect the notes to come back, and there were no notes. They're like, sounds great, thanks. That's weird. But I find my mixing is just a touch more accurate, and so rather than, you work on the NS10s and you switch over to the Mackies, and then I had some JBLs I used to have in there, and over the years I've tried all sorts of unique combinations. Bigger Yamahas, the NS, I think they call them the NS1000, the big three-way Yamahas, and I love speakers, and so I own about maybe 3 other sets of speakers I'll swap in here, but these have stayed here for pretty constantly since they've come in. I don't think I've moved them at all. They're just really useful, sound great, accurate, and like I said, not only are they accurate, they're pleasant to work on, and that the results speak for themselves. I'm getting some better results. So, having said all that, I just wanted to introduce you to these because they're kind of amazing. You can feel free to ask any questions in the comments and kind of thing. I have some other videos on here about studio stuff you can check out on YouTube and wherever else you might be watching this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.